But I think that that's where a lot of co-parents go wrong. They trying to control the house. Oh, that's my kid. Yeah, but when they
You
go over
gotta
there,
let
you
go.
gotta let go. You don't let go of your parental rights, but you let go of your residential rights. When they
Mm-hmm.
leave, you got to back up. You not. I mean, you have a say. Surely, if you go to court, you know it's gonna be some wiggle room. But what happens in the dad's house or happens in the mom's house, man, if it's nothing, they got a word for it, what they call it. If it's nothing, the child isn't in no
In
danger
no
or
imminent danger.
no imminent danger. Like you can't,
You gotta
you got to let
fall
go.
back.
You got to fall
You
back.
gotta fall back. And I say that because I had to.
This is the Family Dynamics Podcast with Kevin and Alicia Meeks.
Welcome to the Family Dynamics Podcast. I am Kevin Meeks, your host, and we again in our home studio, and I am sitting next to my beautiful wife, Alicia Meeks.
Hey y'all, hey.
Today we was just you guys probably was eavesdropping on us talking about blended families and in blended families, is it worth it? And I was really stumped by that. Like,
Yeah. We were trying to think of a topic to discuss tonight. And so I typed in blended families, and the thing that popped up said, is blended families worth it? And so I was like, damn. Because that was just like, bam. And so the truth coming at you fast. And then, so that sounds like something, let's talk about it. Like, really, is blended families worth it? So, for people that don't know, because I can't just assume everyone who's watching knows what a blended family is. So, I put it on up for y'all. A blended family or step family forms when you and your partner make a life together with children from one or both of your previous relationships. That's a blended family. So, as you all know, Kevin and I are blended because we have no children together. And we blended both of Kevin's sons with my daughter, got married, and here we are. So that's our little blended family. Um, I will say I can't really answer like, is it worth it? But
yeah,
what I
that's kind of
can say is it is challenging. It's extremely challenging. And oftentimes I do wonder, how would Kevin and I's marriage be if we weren't blended? Because a lot of our problems stem from this blendedness, honestly. If it ain't the baby mamas, it's the children. It's just like, just being honest. It's a wonderful thing. We love our kids. We love our life, and this is what God put us on this earth to do. But I can't lie. I gotta keep it 100. A lot of the issues that we have to try to work through it surrounds around our blended family in some aspect or another, whether it's parenting, and he have one opinion on what girls should wear and I have my opinion. It's just in every aspect, of parenting, and blending our family and our kids.
yeah. I would agree. I would agree with that. A lot of issues. If you had to have like marital issues on a scale from 1 to 10, or 10 issues, like I would say 6 of those would be the blended family, especially starting out, because you're now don't get me wrong, if you get married to somebody, like, you blending the family, but you talking about blending
You're
children together,
immediate. You're
your
immediate.
immediate, like,
Mhm.
that has been really challenging. Now the question, is it worth it? To be honest, like, let's not go crazy, like, for real. To be honest, by design, you will want the children and the parents to be of the same DNA in the house.
Yeah.
That's not how ours is, and that's not how a lot of you guys families are. But is it worth it? I mean, in the end, it's worth it, but it's challenging. Like, I think that this portion has been harder than the marriage,
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
because it doesn't end.
And it's not about it ending. I think it's because the outcome isn't based off of our actions.
Right.
Like if it was us, like we could bet on us. I could bet on me. I know what I'm gonna do. I know he know whatever he's gonna do. So then that's one dynamic. And that's why this is called the family dynamics, because it's a bunch of different dynamics. But he has, he's gonna say what he's gonna do. I'm gonna say, but we have no clue what the rest of these people are gonna do. And when I say these people, I'm saying our children, their parents. You know what I'm saying? Like we have no clue what could be a issue tomorrow.
Don't know.
It's just things that just pop up. And then when you think of some of the issues that you face as a blended family, you face the issue with parenting. You may, well, you face that even if you were married. You may have one, if you were married and didn't have no kids and then y'all had children together, you will still face some of these issues because he could still have his thoughts on parenting and what a girl should wear and this and that. But I'm saying where I feel that the dynamics come in is when you can be raising children in your home one way, and then you're teaching them morals and values and rules over here,
Right.
but then they go somewhere else and it may be even more rules or even less rules or no rules.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then they have to like try to assimilate to all households. So I'm sure that's very challenging for them. And I know it is because I can attest to it. My parents were divorced. So I had to do one thing at one household and another at the other, and it was challenging. And Kevin and I were talking just this week about how I did, before my mom passed, I did talk to her about the things that I did not like being raised with divorced parents, with having to choose and feeling like I'm in the middle of them because they couldn't necessarily get along. And it's very unfortunate that they could not. They weren't like.
Did she receive it when you told her that?
I think she was kind of disappointed when I said it, because who wants to hear something negative about their parenting? But I had to say it a few times throughout the years because everybody knows, like, I had the domestic violent relationship with Amaya's dad. And because of that, my family is protective of me and protective of Maya. So they like, why are you letting her go over there? Why are you letting him get her? And I'm like, because that is her father. And why are you letting him come to the birthday party? Or why? And because it's her father. And I never wanted to stand in between that because I knew how I felt having to choose. And I never wanted Maya to have to choose. So right now, I can say I never kept her from him unless we already had plans. Now, I'm not breaking my plans because you just, I want to see my daughter. But if we didn't have any plans, I had no problem with him getting her or her going with him if it was in the right type of environment. So I'll say that. But yes, when I had to tell my mom, I'm not sure what brought it about. Maybe it was something with Maya going with her dad. I'm not sure. But when I brought it up to her, she listened. And I was like, I just hated that. Like, y'all couldn't never be in one room. Like, I couldn't have a sweet 16 birthday and both of my parents be there. I mean, I guess I could. I didn't. But I guess I could. But if I did, I would feel like you can feel the tension with a knife. They would never argue, fuss, or fight, but you can just tell that they didn't want that to happen. And it even, like, my daughter's birthday, I was initially going to have it at my father's house because we were building our house at that time and we didn't have nowhere to have it where a lot of people could come. And I was like, I can't do that because then my mama ain't gonna come.
Right.
So I ended up having it at my auntie Kim and my uncle Quinn's house just to have a neutral space. But that's a shame that I had to add that element of thought into it because of the blendedness.
Right.
So that's like just how blendedness could just like affect the smallest thing.
And we had talked, just to give you a quick recap, we had talked at length about co-parenting, and usually there's one party that didn't want to break up. And for some reason, sometimes, and I see this a lot with men, not so much women, where the man will leave the relationship, but create an art, or create that tension between the ex-wife or the child's mother, because he really didn't want to leave, but he left.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? So, because I know I grew up with a single parent, and I know my father had made decisions to where the marriage was over or dissolved. So she
Mm-hmm.
became a single parent. But you made that decision as a man, and I guess shameful and feeling resentful of your own decision. So you created a weird dynamic in our house because,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, like not wanting to see, my mother with someone else, or feeling slighted in some type of way or whatever. And when it comes
I'm
to
so sorry.
when it comes to blending, I think that we've been married for 8 years. If you guys been following us in any time, we just celebrated our anniversary a week and a half ago, 8 years, and we spent a lot of years tearing down and building of our family. And I'm saying tearing down and building because you have to think a lot of times in blended family, like you're meeting these children, and even the husband, like, or even the wife. You guys had a whole nother life before this whole thing came about.
Right.
And the children, as you were stating, that they go back and forth to the opposite parent, and quite naturally you're creating a structure in your house that maybe the opposite parent don't like. So there's a push and a pull, and I kind of, I commend you on, verbalizing that you was having a issue with the way the dynamic of your mother and your father was.
Well, as I became an adult,
Yeah.
I just felt like I wanted to share that with my mom, and I did. And I'm sure, it may have made her feel a way, but I had to be honest with her, like, Ma, I didn't like the way I grew up, where I had to pick and choose between you and my dad. Like, I just didn't like that. And that has shaped the type of bonus mom I've become, because I lived it. I lived it as a child, and now I'm living it as an adult. And I just had to share that with my mom, because I did. I felt very put in the middle. And although my parents did not fuss, fight, argue, they did not. Because anybody that knows my mom knows she's just, and even my dad, like, my parents didn't really raise their voice. So I don't know where I got it from. But we have a loud family, like just talking and hanging out. But my mom didn't really yell at me like that. And neither did my dad. So they didn't argue, fuss, or fight, but it was just a strange feeling, like you could feel tension.
Yeah.
And I knew they didn't want to be in a room together. They didn't want to go places together. They didn't want to be at dinner together. And I just didn't want my daughter to experience that, and she hasn't. I will allow her father, his wife, whoever. I mean, his father, his wife, they were welcome in our house at one point in time. Unfortunately, with our sons' mothers, that's not an option, but I'm here for it, is my point. I was very open in the beginning to just us being one big happy blended family, but things outside of our control.
Because sometimes you have to, like, it's the unfortunate part, like the children want this bliss of all of these households, but sometimes you have to create these boundaries between the baby mamas, the baby fathers,
because some people can't handle it.
Some people just cannot handle it. They
Mhm.
can't, even when it's positive, they can't handle it going right, or the children being happy at an event, or happy at the father or the mother's house. And it just creates this dynamic where it's so much, because we got to be honest and transparent with you guys. Like, there has been a time when my son was coerced to say some negative things to my wife by his mom. Now, he's a boy,
and he was young.
He loves his mom, so whatever she says, he feels is right. but coming back, it was very hurtful. It was demeaning, and it was. Now we have to create some boundaries because now you're teaching our son.
It was so childish too.
And you usually have a puppet, but he doesn't know what he's saying at the time.
Yeah.
So we have to stop and pause and teach, like, that is wrong, regardless of you being your mom. So I can see the drawback with him. He's like, oh, I don't know what to do, who to listen to. So
and I feel, if we could speak just freely, like I feel that due to situations and circumstances like that, because when I look, it's kind of heartbreaking a little bit when I look at pictures of me and my youngest son when I first started dating his father. Like, he was sleeping on my chest and we brushing our teeth together in the bathroom. But once that dynamic of the bitterness from his mom came into play, he switched up on me. Both of my boys switched up on me. I ain't even gonna lie. Both of my boys used to call me mom, and I didn't never ask them to call me mom. I never did. Just one day I came to Kevin's house and they were calling me mom. But a situation occurred and my oldest came home and was saying, Miss Alicia. And I'm like, okay. Oh, somebody wants to join in on my live, but I can't, guys. We're taping our podcast right now. And so I'm just allowing you all to join in on my podcast, but I will go live later where you all can request to join in. I'm sure, but put any comments or concerns in the comments and we will address them as we are speaking. But we are taping our podcast, Family Dynamics Podcast. We are taping it live for both of our platforms right now.
And I hate that you had to endure that, and I hate that what came about out of something so positive.
Yeah.
The one thing that I didn't want to happen is that you have resentment to them being puppeteered.
Yeah.
In a way, because
I just feel like it could have been so much better. Like, a lot of issues that has arisen in our marriage and in our blended family situation has the negative aspects, honestly, were caused by outside forces.
Absolutely.
I just got to be honest, because I came into this very open and very willing. To the point where people, like, my own daughter was like, Ma, you got to stay in a stepmother's place. And I'm like, what do you mean? And because she has another dynamic with her stepmom. Her stepmom, that's his kids. And, that's basically the way. But I came in like, no, I'm pledging my life to my husband and my boys. And I'm going to treat y'all the same way I treat Maya. And I was trying to, but then it got difficult because while you're trying to treat them like you're biological, then it could be seen as you're overstepping your boundaries or you trying to show up the other person. So then, whereas
that's immaturity, though.
It is, but
to the other parent.
But this is what we dealt with. This is what we dealt with.
But I'm saying I don't want you to feel like it was something that you did to make it that way. Like, it was an immature people growing up and feeling like their parenting or their motherhood was being threatened at that time, which is so immature. Like, my sons have, the two baby mamas I got, I wanted they significant of they mother's boyfriends and husbands to be involved, because that gives my sons another male figure,
even more support,
way more support. Like,
so instead of looking at it like it's a challenge or a competition, it could have been so much different if the thought processes was different. And I do feel like 1,000% that really affected the relationship or lack thereof that I have with my youngest son, because he felt in the middle, and of course he want to choose his mom, and I want him to choose his mom every time because I want my baby to choose me every time. Right. But she don't have to choose me, and I make a point. And my daughter can get on here and talk for herself now because she's about to be 20. She can tell you I make a point. I never made her choose, and I never put her in a situation like I wanted her to not like her stepmom. Me and the stepmom could have had whatever issues we did initially, and we had to have a sit down. Kevin and I and Amaya's father and his wife, we went to Panera Bread and we had a sit down to talk about it. Let's talk about, because you're gonna be around my daughter. Okay. So let's just talk about it. Like, we need to be able to get along for the sake of the child. But unfortunately, in some of these other dynamics, we couldn't do that.
But do you feel like you've been disrespected as a bonus mom?
Absolutely.
I'm saying intentionally by the boys.
Not intentionally, like I've been disrespected because they're.
I'm saying from understanding to be intentionally disrespected by you. I mean, by them.
Well, we're both aware that our youngest son mother made him disrespect
Right, but I'm
me.
saying after, now we're past that portion. From there,
I feel like they did the best they could, and they it may have been some times in which,
because I don't
feel like my sons have been blatantly disrespectful to me on purpose with malice intent. No. But I feel like some of the situations that they have been put in has made them feel like they were in the middle.
Right, so they was like in your shoes at they like being forced to.
And I can understand, because again, I was a child and my parents were divorced and I know how I felt. So I totally understand it and I get it. And that's the reason why I try my very best to make our home comfortable for our boys, because as I said many times before, I did not feel like my father's home was my home anymore. I felt like I was a guest because we used to sleep in the basement on a let out couch.
Yeah, that's not good.
And I made sure, I mean, it was a wonderful basement, a huge, tall, I don't know what they used to be called, TVs and, laser disc and everything. It was a beautiful basement, but it wasn't a room. And people that live somewhere are in a room. And so being that I used to live in that house with my mother and my father, to see another set of kids in your room, I definitely felt the way.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I definitely felt the way. So I felt like I'm down here in the basement and they in my room. They wasn't necessarily in my bed because we moved. We took our stuff, but it was my room. And now I'm in the basement, And so that was hard to swallow. And, I was never mistreated at all. My father have a beautiful home, but it was just like I'm saying, I knew that it wasn't mine. Right. And that's why here, when we built this house, I made sure, like, okay, so how we gonna do boys' room? Because I want, even though Keyshawn live here, our youngest son lives here, when our oldest son comes, I want him to feel like that's his room too. So I don't want to make it a Tinker Tot toy room for Keyshawn, and then my oldest son, who was in high school, I didn't want him to feel like he was in Keyshawn room. I wanted it to be their room. So then we did a Jordan room. It's little things like that people who haven't lived it don't think about.
Right.
And so I think about it because I knew how it made me feel. And although my oldest never really stayed here a lot, he had the option. And we tried to make it as comfortable as possible.
Yeah. And that's why we was talking about, like, is blended family worth it? Like, I can't really answer that to say if it's worth it. It's not something that I would say to somebody like, oh man, it's great. You're gonna have a good time. It's gonna work out perfect. There's gonna be some huge bumps in the road. I haven't had many issues with my daughter outside of her growing up and being a young lady. I think that there was a time where it was difficult for her to categorize me without
she didn't want to disrespect her father.
Disrespecting her father. And I never made her feel like I need you to title me. I'm gonna be 100 for you, and we don't ever have to have a title. It's just that you can always rely on me. I'm not gonna do and treat you no different than I do my sons. Yes, I have more hours in a week with you. I do, because it's me and her. My sons had week to week, weekends they would go with their mom or come back. But me and you have a more intimate relationship. It doesn't take away from my sons, but I'm going to treat you as if you were mine. And I never differentiate between that.
But I do feel that you had a different dynamic that was better than my dynamic, because
well, the father chose not to be there at the time.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say this, because you didn't get much resistance from the father. Maybe
right, exactly.
Smidgen.
Right.
You didn't get much resistance from the father, so therefore we'll give you that, Twan. We didn't get no resistance. We didn't get much resistance from, and that made it easier for my daughter to bond with you without any type of, hold on, my daughter, hold on. You know, it wasn't none of that. And so that made it easier. And then I'm sorry, Boopy.
No, I didn't get no resistance from
y'all in the comments on live. Say anything y'all want to say. We'll address it or talk about it if y'all have any questions or if you have any comments. But yeah, I just feel, and I sometimes envy you, because your relationship with my daughter was able to flourish because you didn't have that resistance. You didn't have that negativity in her ear, and she didn't feel like she was choosing.
Right.
But with our boys, not so much. And I feel like in the very, very beginning, when their mothers didn't even know I existed, our relationships were great.
Oh, absolutely. Well, they felt threatened. The baby mamas felt threatened of their motherhood. They had some type of gap in their mind. They thought that maybe our relationship wasn't as solid as it is. Oh, they getting married. Oh, it's official now. My son has to, like, it was a lot, I'm sure, that went through their minds, but there was an immature in their mind,
and because of it.
And to be honest with you, if we're talking about co-parenting, the children suffered, even though you were disrespected, the children suffered extensive amount of love because of your apprehension.
The
to
boys
the
suffered a loss.
They suffered.
They suffered a loss because of their parents. Absolutely.
They suffered in ways when I can say, like, they had the internal anxiety, and you feeling like, I'm not sure.
Let me slow up.
Right. So they was suffering. And that's what I'm saying, man. If you're going to co-parent, man, you have to be open. Look, it wasn't by design, but this is your new normal. I was explaining to my son, this is your new normal. Stop trying to make it normal. It's not normal no more. So how do we make the adjustments now as parents to say, look, that's why she was just explaining. We went to the Panera and said, look, this is what it is. I respect you in your house. You respect me in my house. Man, we had a time one time, and I got a call from one of my baby mamas like, well, what's the meal over there and what we doing? Like, man, look, this is my house. This is what I'm doing. I don't question you when you go over there. The only time there's a question if there's something happening, like a something physically is happening that shouldn't be happening over at your spot. But look, do you?
Yeah. Then that's the same with Amaya. When she go to her father's house, whatever's on their menu is on it. And
that's
whatever
ain't. That's your life. That's your life over there.
And don't call me talking about see you some Uber Eats or nothing. That's your life over there. You know, and how great or how not great. You know, that's just is what it is, because that girl crazy anyway. She had nerve to tell her daddy wasn't no food over here. I said, put him on FaceTime. Open up the freezer. And I ain't had nothing to prove to this man. And I know he knew we got food over here. But, oh, baby, it was lobster, shrimp, because we pescatarians. And my daughter, she will wake up today and all of a sudden she doesn't like bacon. I don't eat tacos. I never did like pancakes. Like, she'll just make up something. So on this particular day, my daughter said it wasn't no food in the house. And so once I showed her daddy that it is food, look. And she was like, well, I wanted us to save that for dinner or something. And I'm like, no. So anyway, he don't meddle in my household. and I don't meddle with his household. Whatever happens when she's over there, as long as she's not being abused in any way, I'm out of it.
But I think that's where a lot of co-parents go wrong. They trying to control the house. Oh, that's my kid. Yeah, but when they go over there,
let go.
You gotta let go. You don't let go of your parental rights, but you let go of your residential rights. When they leave, you got to back up. You not. I mean, you have a say. Surely, if you go to court, you know it's gonna be some wiggle room. But what happens in the dad's house or happens in the mom's house, man, if it's nothing, they got a word for it, what they call it. If it's nothing, the child isn't in no danger.
In no imminent danger.
Yeah, no imminent danger. Like you can't.
You got to
let
fall
go.
back.
You got to fall back.
You got to fall back. And I say that because I had to. Everybody know how I am with my baby. Like, I want her hair this way. I want that baby hair like that, or whatever it was. And that's why, mothers, you have to come up with a strategic plan. I knew you going over your daddy house. Let me take you to Tish. Let's get your braids done. So nobody ain't got to touch your hair.
Right.
Because if I got to be honest, y'all, and whoever watch it. I've had more than one stepmom, but one of my stepmoms cut my ponytail off.
Nah, see, that's horrible. That's horrible.
She cut my ponytail off. And that's my mama was not me, because baby, Letta Maya had came home with her ponytail cut off. It happened to me, and that's on my mama grave, baby. That happened to me, and I remember I came home just a crying. She said she was cutting my ends.
She cut the
clipping my ends. Because I had a Jerry curl at some point in my life, and
Jerry curl?
I did. I had a Jerry curl for a long time, and what happens when you get rid of the Jerry curl? Like, how do you get rid of it? I don't know. But got rid of the Jerry curl, and my hair got blow dried out. Oh, my ponytail was just so long. And, I'm going to clip your ends.
She was jealous.
And baby, my ponytail was gone. So, because that happened to me and I was scorned, I made sure every time my baby went somewhere, she was together. Mm-hmm. I made sure she had every single thing she needed. I made sure her hair was done. So that's how you underhandedly. It wasn't no need for nobody to touch her hair, because it was done. And it was done in a style that required no upkeep. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So,
but what do you think about a lot of these? And it usually happens with fathers too. I got to give it to y'all too. But it's sometimes a lot of women, but fathers too. They want to control the relationship that the next father get into, or the next woman. I mean, the baby mama get into. Like, oh, I don't want her around. Like, I think that's really. I don't like that.
I'm gonna chime in a little bit. So if you have a parent, an alternative parent, we're gonna say alternative parent because it could be the baby mama, baby daddy. If you have an alternative parent that is a rolling stone, and you have a young lady, little girl like me. I had a young lady, little girl. She should not be in every woman you laying up with house. It doesn't look good. What is it showing her? Now, y'all can go hang out and this and that, but we stayed the first day at that lady house and the next day at that lady house. No, because we're not trying to raise a thought. So
yeah, I think that's irresponsible though. That's not what I was talking about.
Okay, what you saying? Because then I had to step in, and it may have looked like I was trying to control his life, but I'm not. I'm trying to say, like, I don't want all these different women around my baby.
I think that it's responsible that no, you shouldn't have, because it's in this day and age, there's a lot of things going on where it's pedophilia. It's all stuff going on where yes, you do have to, but if I'm an upright man.
Yeah.
I'm in a relationship, committed, monogamous relationship with my wife. We on a road to marriage. You're not going to control who I see because you ain't okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
If your child's father isn't responsible, or your child's mother isn't responsible enough as a person, then y'all need to have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to have it up here. Like, that shouldn't even be a question. Like, I don't think ever my children's mothers ever question me because they know who I am and how I roll. Like, I'm not running around here starting and bopping, and I'm not going to have my children around there. I got enough days while I can kick it and hang.
Boom. That's what I said. Be with who you want to be all week, but when you get my baby,
Yeah.
Unless it's your wife or fiance, I don't want my baby around any and everybody. Like, it's not a good look.
I agree with that.
And I'm not telling you nothing that I'm not doing. I was dating several people at one point in my life. And my daughter told me I'm never going to get a stepfather. And I said, why you say that? She said, because you never go on dates. Glad you think so. Because it wasn't her business. And I wasn't bringing a bunch of men around my baby.
Right.
For obvious reasons, but also it's just ain't a good look. And I don't want her getting attached to somebody who may or may not be here.
Sure.
So yeah, this blended family stuff, it's something else.
It's serious. And I would definitely defer that to, like, hey, continue to keep it as the Bible see fit, like a man and a woman.
Yeah, well, that's the reason why God didn't even, but I can't speak on it. I don't know what to say now, but I would say that because, God didn't design us to have children outside of wedlock, but I didn't have a child outside of wedlock, but it went left. So I really don't know what to say about it, but if you can at all possible have children with the man that you marry, that would be great. And hopefully y'all can stay married. And that'll be great. And we got a comment saying, agreed. Wait until you're serious before bringing people around your kids. Absolutely. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
You should have the common sense, but common sense ain't common. I'm just trying to tell you, it was a lot of issues I had to address along the way. But
that's putting yourself to a side to accommodate the child in this growth. You can't, like, I think people sometimes get so selfish, like, oh, it's my life. Yeah, but you got a little person that's watching you, watching your moves, and you want to protect the energy and the people that's around your kids. Like, that's like, if you don't feel like the protection as a father or as a mother of your child, man, I kind of question your character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I agree. I mean, I agree 1,000%. I mean, because a lot of my social life was non-existent because I knew my daughter was planned to the T. Like, I went to the doctor. So I knew I made a decision as an adult to have this child. So, Alicia, why would you be giving her off to your mom? And my mom asked me many times, because my baby was so precious and sweet, Alicia, just leave her here during the week. And I'm like, no, you didn't leave me with my grandma during the week. Why would I leave my baby with you during the week? Because you in grad school and you're working full time, you're going back and forth. Yes. And every single night, go to work, go to grad school, pick my baby up, go home. I'm sorry. I just love my baby to death. And I just felt like that would have been irresponsible of me.
Yeah.
That's just my thoughts. I mean, I understand my mom trying to lighten my load.
What do you think that later on your daughter probably would have said, why was my grandmama was raising me? Because that's a lot of people, like, oh, I'm gonna drop them off in my mama house.
And I didn't know competing. If it was gonna be not competing. My mom did try to take over the kids, but not competing also, but
competing authority.
That was my first child. And who knows? What if I started liking it and I left her till there or something? I mean, I don't know. I didn't want to take the risk of me having that freedom and I end up becoming a deadbeat mom or something. I don't know. I don't think it's in me to be that, but I'm just saying I didn't even want to take the risk of me enjoying a bunch of me time when I had responsibilities. And that's what I'm trying to tell my children now.
Yeah.
We were so much more responsible than them at their ages. And I was a very responsible person. And even once the relationship was dissolved between me and her dad, I still held what I agreed to. I agreed to have a baby. I'm going to be her mother and I'm going to take the best care of her. And if my life have to be set to the side for a minute, that's the choice I made for having a baby. Nobody told me to have a baby.
Yeah, and I think that being in constant communication with your children, and a lot of households isn't like this. Like my household wasn't like that growing up, but we was always talking to the children about where we were as step parents and relatives of their moms. I know it's easy to say, well, I don't talk about your mom, I don't talk about your dad. Well, we have to,
You have
because we
to.
have to talk about, like, hey, I understand that you stay up at till midnight over there, but we don't do that over here. And this is the reason why, because it's not good for your development. It's not good for you to be sleepy in
I
class.
remember.
It's not, you know what I'm saying?
I
Routine.
remember my son. You know when the time the clock go forward and back. Thank you. They said this is a great conversation. Yeah, this is a much needed conversation too. But I remember when the time rolled forward or backwards and it's still light outside at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, that's good.
7:30, 8 o'clock. And I guess he went home and he came back and he said, my mom said I shouldn't be sleeping and it's daylight outside. I said, close the curtains because you're going to bed because your teacher said you be sleeping in class.
Right.
So we're not going to have you sleeping in class. You're going to be well rested. Your bedtime 7:30. Because why is it 7:30? Because I know you're going to get in the bed and you're going to play around for probably 45 minutes to an hour. So you really ain't getting to sleep till about 8 something. And that's what time you need to be asleep. So we're keeping it. And your mom doesn't run the show over here, buddy. So this is what's happening.
And it creates a routine. Like
yeah, we had to have a routine. You have to have stability and you have to have, a structure. And that's one of the reasons why I was just talking to someone and they was commending us because initially when we got custody of my youngest son, he used to go with his mother 4 weekends a month. But then we started feeling like he might have felt like this the rule house. Like everything just got to be like this here. Because he was only with us Monday through Friday. Monday through Friday, no, we're not hanging out. We ain't kicking it. We ain't having family movie night because this one got cheer and we running around and you got homework. And so, yeah, here, Monday through Friday, it's like this. But then I noticed as we were spending weekends, I'm like, he's never with us for the fun stuff.
Right.
Like, we got to get him with us for the fun stuff, too. Like, he should be able to go to the places we were hanging out because we were at parties and different things on the weekends and just going places and doing things that he didn't know that aspect of us because he was with his mom 4 weekends a month. So we went back to court so we can get a weekend. So everything wasn't just this with us. Right. You get a weekend, you get to chill with us. You get to help clean up on them Saturday mornings. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because you think like, the kid is in school from 8 till 2:30, 3 o'clock, and then they have about this 4-hour window of time that they up doing homework or being able to do. And
they may want to play the game, go outside. Kids these days don't go outside,
but they only got this 4-hour window. If you're a parent that want the structure, like they got this 4.5-hour window, and then they go to bed, and then that's a continuous for 5 days. They don't get that time to really relax, and you don't really
chill.
And you don't really get that time to really impart heavy because it's a structure doing it. Because you, of course, hey, man, take out the garbage, clean this up, clean your room up. So that's taking time away. So we like, hey, we need us some R&R time with you too. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But we could have been like, hey, we free every single weekend.
But then but what's crazy is a lot of co-parents, they like, oh, man, I just see them on the weekends or I just let it go. Like, to be honest, his mother just was like, cool, didn't contest it or nothing, cool, I'm gonna take my little weekends. But to me, I don't think on her side it really helped us. I mean, it helped us to have more time with him, but it didn't really help us a whole lot. But
what do you mean?
I'm saying, like, because you don't have the, she didn't have the responsibility days
and still doesn't,
and to be accountable to a time schedule, to be accountable to, homework or stuff like that. Like you didn't have
projects.
Like you ain't got time. You don't have the responsibility there because you go on the weekend. Like we done everything all week.
Yeah, because the schools that he was attending, they didn't give much homework on the weekends. A lot of the work took place during the week. That's the way these schools are structured in our neighborhood, where, you know,
even if it was, you weren't doing it anyway.
I know, but during the week, you know. So anyway, moving on. For everyone that came in late, our whole point and purpose here today on the Family Dynamics podcast is that we are definitely a blended family, and we just decided to Google blended family today. And when we Googled it, it said blended families, is it worth it?
And that was weird, right?
We both was like, whoa, shit, coming at you fast.
And when we Google it, and understand that when we Googling it, this is stuff that other people are asking.
Yeah, somebody typed it in. So it's this website, and here's a gem I'm dropping for people. There's a website called Answer the Public, and it collects all of the Google searches that people have typed in about a specific subject.
Correct.
So if you type in marriage, it'll give you a whole plethora of things to talk about, and this helps you build content. This helps you give you topics for your lives and your podcast. So I went on Answer the Public, I typed in blended family, and that it was a million different things. And when I zoomed in to pick one,
blended family,
it said blended families, is it worth it? And I said, bam, that's our topic today. Because, you know,
if I had to answer the question directly, it's worth it because we were the pillars of the reason why we was going to blend our family. So is it worth it to be with her or be with me to endure or to build this dynamic?
Yes.
Like, so if you had to answer a yes or no question, I would have to say yes.
Yeah, yes. I would have to say yes, because I definitely wanted to be with my husband, and so anything that came with him, and that's things you guys have to think about when you're dating and engaged. Does that man have children? Is it a possibility? Because when I married Kevin, I had no clue that we were going to end up with custody. I thought this was going to be every other weekend or, you know, during the spring breaks and stuff, but this is the cards we was dealt.
And when I got married, I had no clue that it would be every day. Like I thought,
you didn't know my daughter was here every day.
No, I didn't know.
You did, because you was like, "Where's this girl father at?"
I had no clue that he would never come get her. Like, you would never come get her. I had no clue. Like, I remember, okay, cool. We ain't, you know, because we got married in a short period of time, y'all. We didn't wait no years. So I'm like,
we got married in 6 months.
He'll pop up sometime. No.
Kevin knew.
No, I knew
my daughter was with me at all times.
But I'm saying I didn't know that he would never come get her. I never. Now you can't. Now don't because you didn't know. You didn't know that he would never come get her, and it's been.
I did know, because it had been going on for a while.
I'm saying, okay, well that's y'all. I didn't know that he would never come get her, and we wouldn't have no alone.
You were dating me, and you saw that the man. Okay, in that 6 months,
I can't tell my life in 6 months. Ain't no way you're gonna be able to tell me that I'm gonna be able to tell this timeline in 6 months.
And look at Maya, my daughter on here.
Ain't no way.
Well, he should have knew, because my baby was connected to my hip.
It's no way. It's no way.
You see me, you see her.
I know, but it's no way I can know in 6 months of we got married in 6 months of dating, knowing each other. There's no way I know that this man ain't gonna come pick her up.
Well, let's get it straight for the audience.
Let's be clear.
He did end up picking her up.
Okay, but I'm talking about.
It wasn't a consistent thing.
It was not consistent.
But he did.
If it was a year span, I would not see my daughter for a total of 4 days out of a 12-month period. I had no clue. No clue. So yes, we didn't know we was gonna get custody, but I had no clue that it would be no time where she would spend time with her dad. This is stuff you don't know. So if you planning your life and saying, "Oh, okay, my husband ain't gonna have his kids on the weekend," that might not be. Them kids may need to come, because there was times where there was some things happening, and I got the call like, "Oh, I need you to come get your son," and I'm going through something, and that would have had to be my dynamic. Like, hey man, my son's got to come and live with us. That's it.
Well, that's what happened we was married for a year, and a case proceeding began because, and that's another thing. When you're blending a family, you don't know what the dynamic going to end up turning to. And it turned to the dynamic of the child mother withholding visitation for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
And by me working as a child advocate at the Office of Adoption and Child Custody, I was very aware that my husband did not have to deal with that he could have visitation rights and parental rights. And I was trying to push for him to get his visitation. Had no clue that he didn't have a clue either, because he didn't ask for custody. We were going for visitation, and the judge came back with a bam bam. By the way, Keyshawn's getting a new coach. That's what he said.
We putting you in.
He said, we putting you in the game, Dad.
Putting you in the game,
Keyshawn's getting a new coach.
Need to pick him up.
Shoot. Can y'all hear me? Y'all can't hear me no more? That's because somebody was calling my phone.
Yeah. Go get your son after this court now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's something that I didn't plan for. We didn't plan for, and it just happened. So
yeah, it happened, and you have to just like with life, things happen, and you just deal with it. They can't hear. Can you hear what we saying now? Listen here.
Well, I want you guys to put down in the comments what you guys think of this episode. I know it was a little bit more lengthy than we usually go, but sometimes these topics take a little bit more intricate detail to explain us, how we got through it, how we're getting through it, because we are like, it ain't all bad.
No, it's not.
Like we got 2 kids, and
we've had some great times, and some
times.
wonderful memories being made. But the point and purpose of our podcast is to be 1,000% transparent. I'm sorry to everybody that was on my live. Somebody started calling my phone and the sound went out. But the point and purpose of our podcast is to be positive, to be transparent, and open and honest about our experience as a blended family, to be open and honest about our family dynamics, because we want to help somebody. We want someone to gain clarity, or even if it's just knowing that somebody else has went through what you went through and they got through it. That means a lot. Because it meant a lot to me to hear that other women may have been through some of the things that I've been through, because then I knew I wasn't alone. And that is the point and purpose of our podcast. That is the point and purpose, of why we even started the Family Dynamics.
Yeah.
Because it was a lot of things during this process that we weren't getting from other couples and other blended families. And so we want to give that. And so the point of this conversation, we hope, someone got out of it. Blended families, are they worth it? They are.
Yeah.
But just know you have to put in work. It's nothing about it going to be easy. But that's even with regular families that aren't blended. You all may have ups, downs, So.
And don't judge your year 1 with our year 8. But what we're saying is that you get an opportunity to speed up your process, maybe going through some of the steps or taking little nuggets, like she said, and maybe you can stop some of the drama or the stress in co-parenting and in marriage that we talk about, to maybe make your life, different. Because we didn't have that. It may have been some groups out here, but we had to hard knock life this, and we still learning. Like, we got 2 kids in college. One finna graduate, and we trying to figure out these attitudes.
Because you want to know what? It's levels to this shit.
It's levels.
It's levels. So we've mastered those that are beneath us. But as we move up, our children are turning into adults. We're learning how to deal with that, because that's something to deal with too. And, our son's going to high school. It's levels to this. Now, we may be able to, we can't even say that, because each child is different.
Sure.
So his years in high school are definitely totally going to be different from Amaya's years in high school. So, and he a boy, she a girl, just whatever. It's levels to this parenting. So we're never going to be experts at the stuff. you know, we aren't. We're not going to be experts, but we're going to be here, and we're going to be here to work together with y'all. And that's why we love y'all being in the comments. Tell us, you know, for the YouTube viewers that can type in the comments. I'm not sure on podcasts, can they type something?
Yeah, they can.
Oh.
On your whatever podcast,
whatever platform
that you listen to this on, put us in the comments. We definitely will read them. We definitely, if this helped you, if it didn't, if it was trash, say it was trash. If it was helpful, say it was helpful, man. And for our Instagram Live, because we sharing our podcast episode on Instagram Live, man, put this, if this guy's helped you,
share it.
Share it. We're still working through it. We're not masters. We just mastered a level in our co-parenting and our marriage. So we thank you guys for being on the Family Dynamics podcast, and we'll see y'all in a minute.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Family Dynamics podcast with Kevin and Alicia Meeks.
Thank you, guys.
Please like, subscribe, and comment. And don't forget to follow us on social media at the Family Dynamics.
We'll see y'all in a minute.
Bye.